The sustainability buzz. It's all over. It's across the entire planet. Everybody's actually talking about it finally. It sounds nice that we all have in business this real heart for the environment and the people around us. But at the end of the day, it's really about profit. You're talking about the aspect of the climate accord. If we implemented everything in the climate accord, and of course, we're not going to do that. We're going to get a lot of lip service in the process as you go through from different government agencies. By 2050, it'll be $131 trillion. The sustainability buzz is all about the environment and social consciousness and profit. Keep in mind, it's profit. We're talking about the aspect of trying to overthrow petroleum as the #1 revenue generator on planet Earth and change it with something else. And everybody's in the pot trying to scramble to see who can sit down and line their pockets with the most profit. Don't think about the aspect of how we're sensitive to the environment. At the end of the day, it's called business as you go through. In today's business environment, the sustainability is not doing what's right or complying. It's about profit. The book doesn't tell you that because it sounds so harsh, except this is the business class. For many global companies, sustainability is part of their overall matrix as they go through, primarily because we, the consumers, are out there demanding it as you go through. We're looking towards more accountability. We're looking for the records to show not just the profit ratio, we're looking for the records to show other kinds of ratios out there as to how that corporation is a good member of the community that it supposedly serves as it goes through. Savvy consumers, we're going past the expectations of having a good product. Sometimes we want to know how that product was made. What kind of plastic is it? Was it just made? Did you have ocean water recycled plastic in the content? All of a sudden, that appeals to me. I'm interested in that aspect as a consumer as you go through. What about the aspect of is it sustainable? What about straws? Plastic straws. Should I go to a place that has paper straws that can decompose, or a plastic straw that may find its way in the middle of the ocean someplace in the process and sit there for dozens or hundreds of years? Who knows? It's plastic in the process. Environmental sustainability really is a big thing that we're looking at across the entire planet. And there's numerous different meetings. You can probably go on the calendar and find an environmental meeting on every single day of the entire year, because that's how big this issue is. There's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of concern as you go through, because there's a few things that are happening and we're all saying business did this, business did that, business is creating climate change, but climate change comes and goes. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So there's a Brundtland Commission in the process. You also have a life cycle assessment as you go through. And so you look on the cumulative impact of a product. Oh, let's shift over to electric cars. It's so much safer. Is it? What about the strip mining that takes place as you're looking for rare earth in the process to create the batteries? What about lithium? Where does the lithium come from? You can deep mine it. You can actually sit down and take over saltwater bodies and find lithium there as well. But what impact on the environment? We're just changing one for the other sometimes, and an awful lot of times. We look at creative design products and services that really close the production loop, because we'll look at the aspect of when you build the car. You build the car, but what happens when the car has finished its entire life cycle, when you shred the metal? What about all the interior components? Are there dangerous things in there? What about ships? When a ship finishes its final life and you sit down there and you strip it down to the bare components, what about those old different types of electronic devices that are ancient? What about leakage of PCBs? What about leakage of oil in the bottom sump as you go through? What about the metal? What about the workers? What about the land? And so we're actually paying attention to that a lot of different ways, from technology to the actual biological nutrients or the impact that they have as you go through. You want to look at the biological, you want to look at technical, but really at the end of the day, planet Earth is one big closed system. We all have to live and coexist inside of it in numerous different ways, from living here to creating here to working here. And with the cleaner the planet is, the better off we're going to be. And especially, that's kind of the mantra that we are all living with now in planet Earth, because there's different things and you can almost see data on a continual basis on any subject that you want. If the environment is a concern to you, boom, there's data out there and being created by monumental truckloads of paper. Oh, wait a minute, it's all digital. You save that paper on top of that. And different things. You have the United Nations Global Compact, and it's all volunteer, and people put numbers in there. I'm not certain how relevant the numbers tend to be, because there's an awful lot of fudging on the data is what's really there. But there is a concern about human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption efforts as you go through. If you look on the corruption scale, there's lots of them on the web. Just type in anti-corruption and you'll see rankings of governments that are more corrupt than other ones in their process and the way they actually go through and measure that. A lot of them are accurate within the parameters that they have. Are they covering all the parameters that interest you though in the process? You know, there's a big thing called the Paris Accord that was signed in 2015, and not a single country, according to a report just recently issued, not a single country in the year 2021 is in line with the Paris Agreement on climate, the analysis showed. This is coming out of the United Nations, the Wall Street Journal, The Economist, Forbes. They're all saying this, none, zero, de nada out there. The G20 have a climate plan that meets their obligations under the 2015 Paris Agreement. When I talk about the other country going, and they're just talking about it, they're still talking about it, but they're actually making some progress. The progress may not be 100%, but it might only be 40%, but all of a sudden the spotlight is on them. And now they're not going to be able to escape the spotlight as it grows bigger and bigger. And people are saying, well, how come you're at 40% and this country over here is 70%? There's going to be more and more dialogue as this goes towards sustainability. They went through, this is even bigger than the CNN of all people comes out. The Climate Action Tracker analyzes the policies of 36 countries and so on. And they're off track to clean global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius. We're not meeting it, we're not doing it, we're talking about it, but at least now we're exposing the aspect of it's just talk instead of action. And that is the precursor for action actually taking place. There's a lot of different things we're measuring about sustainability, the Carbon Disclosure Project, the Carbon Footprint Project, the Water Footprint Project. There's a lot of things out there. And here is kind of the context of sustainability. You look at the social, the economic, and the environment you go through. Those are the three big spheres when we talk about sustainability of things being able to sit down and be renewed as we go through living in the world that we are. Of the sustainability buzz, the Paris Accord really is a huge measurement for everything that we're doing. And by the time you're all done, maybe we'll start getting more than just a little head nod says, oh, we're going to do this. And Forbes estimates by the time we're all done between now and 2050, if we do everything it says, we probably won't. But even if we do half of that, look at the money there, $131 trillion. That is a massive amount of money that really the leaders of planet Earth have said we're going to spend by 2050 to sit down there and have a more sustainable planet. It's a big business opportunity, especially a big business opportunity for international business. Pay attention to it. You too can found a company that starts out with some concept and then builds itself up into a multi-billion dollar corporation. And when you do, remember that we have a foundation here at IBC. Take care.